Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for stopping by. This is part 2 of my sort of before and after, and you'll notice this time round it's a little more exacting, shall we say. I had a look at the last one as a whole and took out what I didn't like about it, rethought it, and this is my new way of doing it. I might change it again, you never know. Okay, let's get on to the first plant. Okay, this is my Dendrobium prima donna, nobly hybrid. I would say, without a shadow of a doubt, this is my most vigorous and best nobly by far. And it just does its own thing, so really pleased with this one. You can see it's got some deciduous canes, yeah, that have lost their leaves. Those are the very old ones. And then just to show the difference, because I'm not sure everybody can tell, that's a new cane. Yeah, it's got a newness about it. It's very easy to spot. In addition to that, it's finished growing. That's its terminal leaf. Yeah, okay. Whereas this one, you can see the stumps where the flowers were. So that is effectively an older cane. Yeah, it's already flowered. The trouble is with this one, that's not a telltale sign, because this one flowered from January to July continuously, virtually without a break. It just kept putting more and more blooms out. So around this side is where the dead bugs are. I'm in the middle of doing stuff again, but yeah, you can see new canes here, and they're not all finished growing. You know, that one hasn't finished growing. That one, I think, has just concluded. There's another big one round the back there. That one's finished growing, and this one has not finished growing. You can see there's still a sign of a new leaf in there next to that dead bug. I've just sprayed this. I'm getting the stuff all over my hands now. But I'm afraid with the bugs this time of year, if I see a big one, I kill it manually, just in case the spray doesn't work. You know, if you can see it, kill it. Don't let the buggers get away, excuse my French. But yeah, it's coming to the end of bug time. Their days are numbered. So that's as it looks now. This one flowers perfectly well with no winter rest. So it's not going to get one. It's going to get the type of winter rest that just exists naturally in this grow room. I mean, it actually got down to 13 in here last night. So there you go. Okay, let's go back and have a look at what this one looked like in the spring. So here we are back in May. You can see we're looking at some new canes there, and we've even got a new cane tucked up round the back in the middle of that other one in bloom that's actually got buds on, even on the new cane. This is a very vigorous grower. Beautiful blooms, and obviously it was in full flood back in May. More new canes round the back. They're the ones that have matured during the year. A good plant, basically. Okay, so that's that one done. As I said, this is my best nobly. These plants are not coming in any particular order. They're coming as I'm watering, as I see something that I think's worth showing. I'm not filming all my plants. So that's that one done. On to the next one. I thought I'd pop this one in. This didn't exist in May, or not in my world anyway. I actually got this one in August. It's my newest nobly hybrid. It's actually got a name, Wedding Bells, or so it said on the tag. So what can you do? I just thought I'd pop this one in because I can't remember what this looked like when I got it, but I know I filmed it. I think it was part of an unboxing video. It might have been in a repotting video as well, but I'll go and check. I know it was in an unboxing video, so I know what it looked like when I got it. And although I can't remember what it looked like when I got it, it seems to have done very well. Just looking at it now, I mean, that's a new cane. There's a new cane there, another new cane there. They see the new canes on it seem to have pulled on very well, but I need to go back and check what it looked like. But again, all three of those new canes are still actively growing. So this is not ready for a rest yet. Hence, it's just been absolutely soaked. It's been watered properly. It's not ready for a rest, and I'm not going to force it. And this is an unknown. I don't know what this is going to do. If I keep this with the rest of my Noblies, it won't get a true winter rest, it'll get a semi-winter rest. I suppose that's the only way I can describe what happens out here in the winter. And then we'll see what happens in the spring. If it blooms poorly or not at all, okay, next year I'll treat it with a true winter rest, but I need to know, and at the moment I haven't had it long enough, so this goes into the question mark winter rest, so it'll just stay here. Okay, let's go and have a look at it when I got it, which, bearing in mind it's August, September, October, November, that's 3 months worth of growing season for me, and I can't remember what those new canes look like, so let's go and have a look. So here we are back in May, and just coming out of its unboxing. So this was the first time I saw it. Lovely little delicate blooms. You can almost see through them, although that could have been the damage. Yeah, it was quite a nice plant when I got it. The leaves were pale. I think it had some either too much light or some deficiencies in its feed, something like that. But that's been overcome. You see the colours of the leaves the plant has got now. So yeah, there was some older canes on it, some new canes, nice new cane there. There we go then. Okay, so there you see, that's effectively the amount of growth I've managed to do in that amount of time. Probably out of season, this Nobly, what I call a dysfunctional season. It hasn't quite got back from its orchid nursery into its true seasonal behaviour. That's probably why it's still very actively growing. You know, it was pushed to bloom at a certain time and that messes the seasons up. Okay, that's that one. That's Dendrobium wedding bells. Pretty flower on that one. Okay, this is an unusual one as far as an update is concerned. This is my Berry Oda, which is a Kingianum type. And back earlier in the year, it was one big plant. Now it is basically 1, 2, 3 plants. Yeah, I split it. Now they're all in various stages. This one's got nice new cane there, nice new cane there. No, that's an old one. So a couple of new canes and is working on a good root system. So coming on. Sellable plant. Yep, this one's got 1, 2, 3 new canes, so yeah, again, and it's working on a good root system, so coming up to a sellable plant. And then this one here that's doing the least with the new canes, it's only just starting, so that was probably the older part of the original plant. So it's taken a while to actually trigger the fact that it needs to push some new canes out. But again, it's working on a root system. So let's go back and see what the plant looked like when it was all in one. The only thing I remember is that it should have come out of its pot a long time before it did. So it was probably in a bit of a mess. But let's go back and have a look. So here we are then. The plant was all in one piece, and you've even got the name and the pop-up, because that's the clip I've got available, so I can't get rid of that. Anyway, it was quite a large plant, and it did actually bloom, so I was quite pleased, but you can see the number of canes, and it warranted splitting. So there we go then, what was one plant is now 3, and I'm still sitting on the fence as to whether I'm keeping this. The fragrance is nice, it's got a deep purple bloom that's quite attractive but small. They don't last too long, but it produces quite a lot of them. But they take up a lot of space. Yeah, I mean, when one of these is growing well, it can almost double in flipping size. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. They are very good at doing that. And it's whether I can justify the space for a plant that big, you know, that isn't my favourite bloom. So at least 2 of these are going to get sold, and I'm still sitting on the fence whether all 3 go. That's half a shelf, you know. That's the way I look at it nowadays. Okay, so that's Berry Oda. Okay, let's have a look at this one. But everybody was thinking I haven't got any Oncidiums anymore. It's just where they're placed, and as I go round with the watering, I come across different sets of plants, I suppose. And this really is one of a set. Officially Oncostelli, I believe, but it's one of the wildcats. There's a whole set of them, and I think I've got 3 or 4. This one's Bobcat. Now, from memory, I know I got this in May, so I hope it's in the May updates. If not, well, it's just a look at an Oncidium type anyway. It's pushed up 2 growths. This one here, which is maturing, that's not doing bad. Given the size of the old bulbs, that's a fraction smaller, could have been bigger. But again, it was disturbed, it had to be repotted, I didn't like what it was in. And then it's got this new growth. This one has all the hallmarks of being bigger, because it's still actually got its leaves quite tight together. They haven't expanded. If you look at the way the bulbs push the leaves apart, and you get leaves either side, and then either 1 or 2 at the top, depending on the hybrid. This is a 2 type. Okay, so you can see that is a young pseudo bulb. It's yet to expand and push these and those over to one side. So let's go and see what that one looked like. In theory, if I got this in May, it was actually in bloom. So let's go and have a look. So you can see back in May it was in bloom. One of the darker of the bobcats, virtually all red apart from the tiny little gold tips on the tips of the petals and sepals, and I just had to have that. And there you can see the new growths. That one's just, well, we're looking at roots, just starting there, that new growth, and the other one a little larger. So yeah, coming on. That's what it was like in May then. So there we go then, one of the Oncidium types. Not specifically an Oncidium, but an Oncidium type. Typical growth pattern, you know, older pseudobulbs eventually become leafless. And in this particular case, I'm lucky, I've actually got 2 leads. So I've got a new growth going off in that direction and a new growth going off in that direction. And if I can get either of those 2 to split, then I've got multiple leads, bigger plant, newer bulbs at the same time, possibility of multiple spikes. We'll see how it goes, but that's as it is now. Okay, this one is the famous Sharry baby. Me and Sharry babies don't get on. I don't know why. I've never had a good one. Maybe donkey's years ago, once upon a time I did, but every one I get doesn't seem to grow very well. Not as bad as the zygos. I don't kill the blinking things, but I think for once I caught this one with its repot into the new type of media that I use at the right time, because consequently it's getting a reasonable root system in the pot, not all rotted off, and it is maturing some pseudo bulbs. So maybe we'll have some fragrant arching spikes in the not too distant future. It has actually pushed up. There's a new growth in the middle there. That's not an ideal place, but that's what they do. A young but new growth here, and then a maturing new growth here. So on that size plant, that's pushed out 3 new growths, and they've all got some room to get roots down in the pot. So hopefully, I wonder what sort of mess that was in May. Let's go and have a look. Yeah. You can see the blooms, they're nothing special, but it's the fragrance we have Sharry baby for. Yeah, pretty tatty. Some good leaves, some pretty poor. There's the tiny little new growth and the other tiny little one right in the middle of the plant. No sign of any others. Now, obviously, when I repotted this, I probably tidied it up a bit and took a couple of the older bulbs off. But yeah, it's a lot of plant to have lying around if it's not going to bloom again. So there we go, a tatty looking object back in May. Hasn't bloomed for me for quite a while. It's pushing its luck. Okay, so that's what it looked like then. This is what it looks like now. The change I've actually made is where I keep it. And it now lives, I know that shelf looks a bit of a mess because of all the cobwebs in the corner, but that is immediately above the inlet fan. So that's a cool area. I mean, this time of year everywhere's cooler, so it doesn't matter. So basically through the summer I've kept this one cooler, and I think that was the trick. I think it was probably too warm. Gets a fair bit of light where it is now, but it is shaded by other plants, so you know it's sort of not right up against the glass, so it seems to be doing better. Again, if you've got a plant that doesn't seem to be doing very well and you don't understand why, try something different. I mean, if it's got a lousy root system, you know, that's the main reason why. But once you start progressing and you get some new growths and you've got some good roots pushing out, but it still doesn't seem to be doing as well as it should, think about where it lives. Is there a better place for it? Perhaps try it a bit warmer, but do your homework first. Don't start roasting plants that are supposed to be cool growing. You know, and if it's a bit too warm, try and find a cooler place, or perhaps a shadier place, or a brighter place. But just try something slightly different. Don't go mad. Don't take a plant from your coolest, shadiest place and put it up in the roof in the hottest, brightest place in one go. You'll burn it. So take care. So that's what that one's done. Okay, I'm filming these two together because the chances are when I go back and look in May it was one plant. But Bailey, it was a failing plant. It was not doing well. Some of the pseudo bulbs... Gotcha. No, I didn't actually. I missed. Gotcha that time. That was a little fly of some description, but not a thrip. Don't go mad. I know what they look like. Just one of those fungus gnat things. Okay, so yeah. That's bad. Do not do as Roger does. That was a back bulb division, looking at the pseudo bulbs thinking they're the healthiest ones I've got. When I broke the plant up, it was rotting. I had to do something, yeah? And basically I didn't know where, if at all, the new growth was going to come out. So I left effectively 4 large back bulbs joined together, hoping it would shoot out. Well, it has shot out. So, and it's also doing its roots thing. New growths do that, you know, and it's getting on with it at a rate of knots. They are heading down into the pot. So that little growth can now support itself, even if it wasn't getting any energy from the back bulbs, which it may well have not have been doing, I don't know. But that's up and running now. The next time that gets repotted, at least 2 of those back bulbs are coming off, and maybe even 3. There's too many to support one new growth. What's happening probably now is that little new growth is growing nicely and pushing out those roots and pushing its resources into the old bulbs instead of using them itself in preparation for harder times. That is what they do. Okay, this was another division, so this is the other part of the plant that I managed to save. And this one, I believe, did have the growth on it, so I knew roughly where it was going to come out. And again, you know, it's doing its thing with the roots, new growth, new roots, pushing on nicely. Now, one of the older bulbs on this has at least got 2 leaves. So at least the back bulbs are getting some support from their leaves, because these 2 leaves can still photosynthesize and push some of the sugars and things back down into the unit of the plant. Meanwhile, the new growth pushes on with new roots and gets nutrients that way. And eventually these leaves will be larger and photosynthesizing better, and it will pull on. I didn't want to lose this. This is quite special to me, because of the person who gave it to me, basically. So I didn't want to lose it. So desperate measures. Right, let's go and see what the hell it was like in May. I haven't got a clue, I just can't remember. So back in May, we're obviously looking at it just after I'd repotted it. But luckily we get the pop-up with the bloom on, which is why I desperately wanted to keep it. So that's one of the divisions back in May, shortly after dividing the plant and potting it up as 2 separate pieces. And we'll go back and see what it looks like now again. So there we go then, 2 back bulb divisions. This is a true back bulb division because it has no leaves at all. And that was on the borderline of going under the hedge, but I thought we'll stick it in a pot and see what happens. This one has got some leaves, so it is a back bulb division of sorts, but with some support. and both the new growths are coming on. Quite pleased. If it's going to do well, it's going to do well next year, not this year. Come the new season, you know, with the longer day lengths and the warmer temperatures, and this isn't specifically a warm grower, but it does like a bit, you know. This should put, you know, these two versions should pull on nicely next year. We'll see how it goes. So that's that one done. Okay, probably the last one for this session. Prosthechia Green Hornet, although chances are the flipping name's changed. I'm sticking with that because I got a posh label that's been to a show. Now, bad potting on my part. Yeah, trying to anticipate where the new growths were coming. That should have come off, and these bulbs should have been back up against the pot there. And if I'd done that, these nice new growths around here would have plenty of room, and the next lot would as well. So the chances are I'm going to end up repotting this again when I didn't need to. Anyway, couple of new growths pushing in this direction. That one bloomed. That one bloomed. Yeah. And that was the next new growth to push on. It has got a sheath. It may well bloom. And this is the latest new growth here, also with a sheath. That may well bloom. In fact, that one looks like it might have a shadow in it now. Okay, these plants, this particular variety of Prosthechia, Green Hornet, which is obviously a cross with a name like that, is quite a vigorous grower when it gets a hold. It's one of those that, you know, once it gets a good root system, it pushes out new growths as fast as it can. And it can be in bloom any time. These pseudobulbs do not take a year to mature. They take an odd amount, like 9, possibly 10, maybe even 11 months, depending on the time of year it's trying to mature in. But they basically bloom as the new bulbs get to maturity. So any time of year, really. I mean, if you've got a big enough plant, it can be almost in bloom all the time. Flipping bugs. Ah, near the end of them. Okay, let's go and have a look at this one earlier in the year. So here we go then, back in May. Looked like quite a good plant back then. Attractive flowers, that's why I got it. They're also pretty fragrant. And back in May we had the spikes, because this one went to the New Forest show actually in bloom. So back in May those spikes were just pushing on. First one there. And then just a quick look around the plant. And then that's the spike that was doing the best. So yeah, back in May this plant was looking pretty good. Okay, so that's how it's done, and this bark on the top is not mine. The show that this one went to, every single pot got top dressed in the same bark, not in my control, and I tried to get the worst of it off because they filled the pots right up, you know, which is way too high up the pseudobulb, so I had to try and get as much of it out as I can. But given that this one has got bad moss and algae on the pot, and I mean bad, and the fact that I didn't pot it in the right place last time, then that's due for a repot in the spring. We'll clean up the roots again, get it in some new media, get rid of all the moss and the algae, everything like that, and start it again, which will be a bit of a setback for it, but hopefully it times with some new growths. I'll try and do that, and we'll push that one on next year. But it's growing quite well. I'm quite happy with it. I got a few concertina leaves on this one. Where are they? Oh, that's just basically a damaged leaf. It got knocked at the show. Perhaps I haven't then. But some slight, that's bug damage. That's where bugs have just touched on the surface. Yeah? And again, they hold their leaves for quite a while, but I'll have to live with it. That's what bugs do. Okay, so that's that one. As I say, that will probably be the end of this particular video, and I hope you like the new style. I changed my mind. As you can see, this time round, I talked about a plant as it is while filming, and then made a deliberate stop point with the words to go with it, so it didn't just sort of snap off and suddenly go into you know, a banner heading and a piece of music and, you know, just a film clip. So I hope you like this way that I've done it. It was another idea I had part way through, plus an idea from, you know, one of my viewers, and a couple of things sort of put together to give a different style. I might stick to this style, I might not. Somebody comes up with suggestions that I like, then I may well put them into the next one. But you have to bear in mind, I'm filming plants now that were in the May update, apart from a very few exceptions. So some plants that were in the May update, I haven't got. They've died or been thrown out because I got fed up with looking at them. So they're gone. So there's no point in, you know, I can't film them now. So they're just gone out of the mix. And then there's quite a few that I've got during the year that aren't in the May updates for that reason as well. So I'm just picking on bits and pieces that were in the May updates that I've still got, and I've got something to see. Okay, so thanks for dropping by. See you again next time.